This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining us today is George Roach, the CEO of Premier African Minerals. Hello, George. Thank you again for your time. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you, Mark. And it's, as always, a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much. I wonder if we can just start up. You're probably the last interview that Stockbox will do before the Christmas holiday period. I wonder if we can just perhaps get a very short summary of the year 2022, some of the highlights for you that the company achieved this year.
Yes. I mean, that's pretty easy. And I think the biggest highlight is the one that I'll start with, and that's the fact that we are building a large-scale pilot plant at the Zulu lithium mine at the moment. I was there 2 days ago again, and the progress is significant. It's a huge amount of very hard work going on. So I think that's the biggest single achievement. If I go back to the beginning of the year, I didn't envisage at any point in time that we would be at this stage. I always had the objective that I believed we would be able to retain control of our own destiny going forward. I think we've achieved that during the course of the year. I think the fact that this mine, this large-scale pilot plant is being built without accruing any debt or issuing any additional equity or any of that kind of thing along the way, I think that's been a huge achievement. So I think those are probably the most important things to me that will stand out about this year.
Excellent. Well, it's certainly a very big one, George. It'd be hard to top that. So I did pick up a few questions just from shareholders, so we'll just go through them quite quickly. The first one here, which is quite important, I think, it's someone is saying that there's some sort of chat or rumours about that there's going to be a ban on extracting raw lithium from Zimbabwe. Have you got any comment on that?
Yeah, I have seen and read quite carefully a notice that was published just recently. And it's available. It's anybody can access this. What is banned is the export of unprocessed ore, and I think that it's essential to understand that a definition of ore, and you can look this up and get various of them, but I think they all come down to the same thing, that they're talking about a solid material that you'll take out of the earth that contains a mineral or a compound or an element that could be extracted profitably from the ore. So there's a difference between banning the export of ore, which is an unprocessed run-of-mine material, and banning the export of a mineral or a compound or whatever it is that has been extracted from the ore. And I can't speak for the minister or the government in Zimbabwe, but I think it's fairly clear to me when I look at this notice that, and I may just say in context as well, some of the things I hear in the background, is that there has been a fair amount of artisanal free mining within other pegmatite areas. And that some of this material that has been mined by artisanals has been bought by the wheelbarrow load by certain persons at very low prices. And it would then seem that some of this in a completely unprocessed form as ore has been shipped out of the country. And I fully support the ban of that kind of thing. I have no problem with artisanal mining. I think that people are entitled to and will always do the best they can to earn a living. But to take ore, raw ore, and go and ship that straight out of the country, I think it should definitely not occur. So okay. I don't see this. I see this as something that I quite welcome. I'm quite pleased to see that this is in place, and I don't think that there is anything adverse or negative as far as Prem is concerned.
Okay, well, that's good to hear that it's more a focus on the ban of the ore being extracted, which makes perfect sense, really, for the Zimbabwean economy. So the next question I have, George, with Pilbara today announcing contract prices of $6,300 from December, does Prem expect to get similar prices?
Well, the terms of the sale that we have and that have been agreed to is that in the initial phase will be a discount to the average contract sales price achieved in the preceding month, the month that precedes the actual shipment and sale by Prem. So translating that, if Pilbara, if the average reported from Platts, for example, in the month of December is $6,300, and we export in January, then our pricing would be based off whatever that Platts average is. And it would be a discount. It's a small discount, and it's for a limited period to that price. So the answer is kind of a half yes and a half no, but the principle of how we work out the price takes cognizance of that.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, is the drilling showing the resource for the first pilot plant to be shallow and easy to get to?
The resource within the area that we'll deal with in the pilot plant is off surface. In fact, it's in an outcrop in places. So there's almost no stripping ratio in the beginning. I think it needs to be noted that often very close to surface or tends to be a little weathered, and you won't necessarily get the same grade in the first meter as you'll get in the subsequent meters below. But the mining is virtually off surface, and so it is. And for the life of the pilot plant, whatever it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be a particularly deep pit.
Okay, excellent. We're talking about the pilot plant then, which of course is your highlight of the year, that will be on track to be hot commissioned in February time. Some questions I have here about that. If when you start the plant and it works well, will you quickly decide on a second plant to boost production to 100,000 tons of spodumene per year?
Well, I don't know about the production boost, where that would go, but is it the intention to look to further expand and develop this plant? Is it the intention to look to expand the production levels? Is it the intention to look to recover the tantalum and various other byproducts? The answer to all of that is a yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
So absolutely. And that's the closer we get to a production point, the more top of mind this becomes.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. And on that 48,000 tons, and how confident is the company in producing over 48,000 tons? And is that based on a 12-hour shift? So then potentially the opportunity to double that?
It's based, the production is based on 22 days of continuous running per month. Flotation plants need to run continuously to achieve proper efficiency. There's a bit of flexibility on the front end, on the dry section, the crushing and so on side of the plant. So if the availability is good, and it should be reasonably good in the early stages, that 22 days could easily increase.
Okay, but the 48,000 is based on 22 days of continuous running per month. So you'd actually be looking to increase the running days. Is that what effectively you're saying?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, okay, yes. That makes sense. Okay. Based on these assumptions, would first year revenue exceed $240 million before expansion?
I don't want to get involved in committing to any particular number. I mean, but I think it's fairly clear that we have a target production, and the pricing, the contract pricing today is fairly clear. So I think that it's not difficult to do the multiple if you want to get to a gross revenue. It's a different story to start working out costs and what the net is.
Yeah, I think shareholders can certainly do the maths. I think a lot of them have and probably just want to hear it from the horse's mouth, but that's going to be very challenging to get that, certainly at this stage. And I understand exactly why, George.
The horse isn't quite going there just yet.
Not just yet. Okay. Well, looking forward to next year. Of course, you've got the big event early in the year is the commissioning of the pilot plant. Any other key milestones you're looking out for in 2023, George, to set the scene?
Yeah, I'd like to see in 2023 that we can get to the pilot plant optimized and expanded. We anticipate probably from March next year getting back onto a significant expansion on resource drilling, purposes of expanding the resource, as opposed to properly defining what we're going to mine under the pilot plant. So a lot of expansion drilling. We know where we've got to go with it. We know where we believe we know where the pegmatites are. So that, coupled to the optimization and expansion of the pilot plant, are essential targets. I don't know whether I should mention in any of the other, but at some point in time, RHA is going to be resolved. I know I've said it on so many occasions, but it is. We're also involved in a little JV in the Mutare Greenstone Belt, and there's some very prospective areas that we're looking at there. Plus, it's worth noting that there is another mine being built very close to where our claims are in that Mutare area. Yeah, and there are others. I think it's going to be a case of looking to grow the company as much as just growing the lithium sector. So I think that next year looks like it could be a very, very encouraging and very interesting year for Prem.
Excellent. Okay, so talking about growing the company as well as, of course, getting the lithium producing from the current project with in Zimbabwe. But that's good to hear, George. So as I said at the start, I think you're probably the last interview for today before Christmas. So happy Christmas to you and everyone at Prem, and of course a happy New Year. And we will, of course, be speaking early in 2023, I'm sure.
Yeah, Mark, indeed. I appreciate very much the opportunities we've had to talk to you. And it gives me the opportunity again to thank all of our Prem shareholders, our brokers, our staff, yourselves, the media generally, for what has been, from Prem's perspective, a very exciting year. And just for me to wish everybody well over the Christmas season, great Christmas, good New Year. I'll think of you all while I'm busy slaving away to get this pilot plant operating and going, together with a whole lot of our team. So thank you very much indeed.
No, that's no problem. I think there are hopes that there might be some pictures of turkey in the bush at Zulu. So we can maybe look out for a Christmas dinner on site on Twitter from Prem. But
yeah, that's a thought.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, George Roach, the CEO of Premier African Minerals, for your time today.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. Thank you. Cheers.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.